Thank you so much for being here today. Usually, obviously, we have people continue to join as we start, but we're going to go ahead and kick off with our content. So, if this is your first time on one of our webinars, I'm just going to explain a little bit of the format. At any point, if you have any questions, my team is going to be on the chat. So, different team members, whether it's Kelly or Carlos, they'll be in the comments answering any questions. If at any point you do have to jump off the call, but you're interested in talking to the team, we always have a QR code on the bottom that says book now, or you can just drop a comment in the chat and let the team know to contact you and give you a call, whether it's to answer any questions or to schedule for a future time and date. So, thank you so much for making the time in your busy days to join this webinar. Obviously, growing a sales team in any industry can be challenging, but even more so challenging in the roofing industry that suffers from some of the highest turnover. So, today, the content that we are going to be covering specifically, we're going to talk about what is necessary in sales management. It's not just about sales, but it's the structure of how we're managing the sales team. So this isn't just about a training. Today I want to go through what I like to call a reality check for you to truly understand where is it that you are today in your roofing company's sales management structure. So if there's an issue that keeps happening, such as you continue to lose reps, your revenue is inconsistent, we want to analyze and identify what's the pattern that's specifically happening in your business so we can fix it for once and for all. Whenever we try to continue to create more band-aid solutions when it comes to fixing these problems, they continue to show up over and over again because we haven't built the solution on a solid foundation. So, we're going to take a look at who is this content for. And again, I just want to be respectful of your time. If this is not you, then might not be the right content for you to spend an hour and a half watching. First, this content is for an owner that's in the trenches. Either you're doing sales yourself, you're trying to build the sales team, you're also a sales manager, or you're an owner who has a sales manager but still has to step in and lead that sales manager. This is also for any sales managers who feel like they're still in that sales seat where they're not truly able to manage and focus on growing the team because they might still be selling. This is for any leader of a roofing company, so branch manager, general manager, business owner who wants to understand how to drive the revenue system of the roofing company. So these are specific for you. Again, my content, I really don't do much training on this level for sales reps. We do have content that we make for owners to train their sales reps, but that's not so much of what I do. I focus on owners and managers and leadership teams in the roofing industry specifically. So let's start off with why I've seen roofing companies stay stuck over and over again. The first is knowing that something's wrong, but not understanding what's the root cause. And sometimes that's just a lack of knowledge or experience, not being 100% sure. Another thing is just moving those wrong levers. So we're not being strategic enough and putting the effort into the right place and the right system in the business to solve these problems long term, which leads me to a lot of just quick fixes. We deal with the short-term solution, scramble while the season's running. Winter happens, we slow down, try to get our feet underneath of us, and before we know it, the season's here again. And roofing is one of those industries that's very volatile, especially the last year. We've seen so many challenges happen, and so many companies either have explosive growth, plateau, or completely decline in revenue. So, the same cycle that you're probably have been in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, you're continuing to repeat. It just looks a little bit different. So, I just want to be a little straightforward with you. Today, I'm going to talk about some very uncomfortable things when it comes to sales management and structure. I'm not selling you guys a dream, I'm selling you guys the truth of what's really happening behind the scenes. First, where you might be losing money, where are opportunities for you to tighten up your systems and processes. So, not only can you keep more of those profits, but also scale up that revenue and hit your goals. Also, taking a look at what actually might be broken in your sales management structure and system. And this is so important because if you're in a leadership position in sales, then that means that you own revenue for the business. And so if you own revenue and the company depends on you, whether you're an owner or a manager, in order for revenue to grow, then that means you really need to be aware of what are causing the issues, what's causing the stagnation, or even what's the potential that you guys have to grow, what's on the other side. And then, most importantly, why are the reasons why you might not have already fixed these issues that you're dealing with? Oops. All right, let's start off with what are the lies that we hear? What are the lies that we hear regarding sales in the roofing industry? The first is a sales manager is going to magically fix everything. And if you're a sales manager who stepped into this role where maybe the owner's expecting this of you, those are big shoes to fill because sales management structure without very little direction from the ownership or leadership team to the sales manager can really cause you to have to fight against more odds than ever before, especially if you don't have the training or the skill set yet to be a manager, but you're putting in that effort and not seeing the results. It's a very easy way for a sales manager, a top performer to burn out in this industry is being thrown into a seat that they're not properly trained to accept, even if the effort and the intention is there. The second is having more sales reps, and that will magically make you scale. Or just having more leads is going to fix all of our revenue problems. But what happens is that none of these solutions, none of these problems actually tackle the main issue, which is the structure behind sales management. So, what actually happens is if you're a sales manager who was a top sales rep who was thrown into this seat, usually you're still going to have to continue to sell just to keep the revenue and meet those targets that are set. If you're the owner, you're usually still having to sell, but you're not able to truly build a system to scale up your revenue. It's not as easy as, hey, we already know we have to do one, two, and three things, and then we'll be able to grow our revenue by X percentage. It's always just kind of guessing and a lot of push versus being strategic and being able to forecast how to grow the revenue. So, without there being any structural changes and just a new position or a title, it doesn't really improve the team's performance. It just creates more team members and more of that flat structure whether we're actually growing layer over layer. So, what happens when we're dealing with these challenges is that revenue is truly a roller coaster, right? We have a great month, we have a bad month, we have a great month, we have a bad month. That we're not really sure what's causing the great months and we're not really sure what's causing the bad months. So we're just celebrating on the good months, and on the bad months it becomes the blame game and pointing fingers at each other. Next is just the inconsistency with reps. Either your underperformers really aren't able to grow and develop, and so they leave, or people come into the industry and leave right away because they're not able to accomplish a quick win. So you're left depending over and over again on your top performers to carry the entire company's revenue goals. And most of the times, the owner's the safety net. So if you're a business owner and you know how to sell and you know how to generate more revenue, 9 times out of 10, if you see you're not accomplishing those goals, what are you going to do? You're going to step back into selling. And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do at that time. It's just if we don't create more structure, the owner's always going to have to be that safety net instead of being able to focus on growing the business. And in all actuality, it just depends on what kind of business do you want. If you just want to be an owner operator, there's ways to streamline that and to do that in a way where you're not having headaches all the time. But maybe you have the vision of being a $20 million a year roofing company, $50 million a year roofing company, $100 million a year, and having multiple locations. I've seen all kinds of successful roofing businesses, whether it is owner operator or huge companies and having corporate structure in this industry. So there's not a one size fits all. So let's talk about what is actually costing you to stay where you're at right now. And the reason why this is important is because it's not just missed opportunity, it's the missed potential impact that you could have. Every homeowner that you guys are not serving right now, you're leaving susceptible to being taken care of by another company who might not care as much as you guys do, might not have the same ethics and core values. And also there's sales reps right now who, if they could find a great company like yours, it could completely change their life. So not only are we losing money, but we're also losing the potential to impact so many different lives. Just 2 or 3 deals per week that we're missing due to lack of structure and due to having no system when it comes to sales management, development, hiring, and training. Just simple, easy math. I'm not even shooting too high. Potential revenue 20, 50K a month. Again, just giving you some safe numbers. 2 to 3 deals a week. That's 600K per year left on the table with what most of you right now could sell 2 to 3 jobs a week extra. Now, there's some of you on this call who could probably sell 10 to 20 jobs a week extra, but even just 2 to 3, that's money that you guys are leaving there on the table. Now, the real issue, it isn't about just your lead flow. More leads isn't going to change the results of a broken system. It's just going to show you those problems a lot quicker and a lot faster. And that'll show up in your conversion rates, in your closing rates, in your customer acquisition costs down the line. It's not just about your pricing strategy. Yes, I know so often we're dealing with the cheapestroofer.com, but that's not your problem. It's not your price, and it's not even your people, right? Even the star player, best roofing sales rep in the world who's not in the right team, who doesn't have the correct structure to support their growth and their training and development, it's very difficult to succeed. What is the issue? It's the lack of having good structure and control to be able to execute and have measurable results. We're not able to truly forecast. We can't really diagnose, figure out a strategy, and then take those next steps because we're flying blind and we're hustling our way through every single problem. So the truth is, you might think you have a sales team, but what usually is happening behind the scenes, and some of you might be a rare exception to this, is we have individual sales reps operating completely independently. Maybe there are some shared principles like CRM data management and how we're documenting photos, but when everyone has their own style, their own approach, their own process, that equals a bunch of solo performers and not a true team. So that's what we really want to focus on when we talk about sales management and structure, is how we're building that sales team. So this isn't about you guys working harder. This isn't about the motivation, right? Motivation's not going to magically fix anything. And this isn't another script or role playing or a closing technique or a new financing option. This is just about building your revenue system, that engine that's going to take you to your next level, whether that's growing an extra million this year, whether that's getting to 20 million, whether that's opening a new branch, another location, becoming a franchise, having a licensing structure. Anything that you want to accomplish in this industry is possible because I've seen it happen over and over again, whether it was retail or whether it was insurance. It's totally possible. You just need to have a good system to execute on that. So today what I'm going to talk to you guys about is the revenue system, and I'll give you a little bit about what we've had the word revenue, the acronym it stands for. The first is the responsibility to grow revenue. The second, for the E, is execution. The V is visibility. The E is how we enforce everything that we're setting up, whether that's processes, whether that's accountability, whether that's training programs and development, and the numbers. The numbers are so important, and that's why numbers and visibility really go hand in hand. Having that unified team so that we have the ability to expand. So I see a lot of you guys joining. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, if you have questions, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat. Now, if you've never seen any of my content before, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes really quick to introduce myself because it's important for you guys to know where this content comes from. My name's Elizabeth, and I've been in the roofing industry for 10 years. I've been a consultant behind the scenes for some of the largest roofing companies in the country. Currently, I've consulted personally for over $750 in roofing revenue. We have now over 4,000 roofers that use our training systems and materials. And last year, we launched Roof Team University, which is a completely custom and white labeled roofing university that we build for all of our clients, whether it takes all of our courses and all of our content and customizes it to each individual business that we work with. And everything that we're going to talk about today, this is actually part of our in-person workshop and course. Just going to give you a couple of points on that, and we'll get right into the content in case you have to jump off here early. If you are interested in learning more about what we're going to cover and you don't have time, remember the QR code is there and you can book a call with any one of my team members. Our next in-person event is May 20th through the 22nd. It's 3 days here in Fort Lauderdale. Very quickly, what we cover is structure, process, and accountability. It's a full implementation workshop. All the content that you're going to see here today, all of the problems that we're solving, this is where we actually implement the structure, the process, and the accountability that's relevant to the current revenue level that you're at. So everything we talk about is broken down by revenue. Structure is the who owns sales, who owns production, who owns operations. Process is the what, A to Z, what's getting done. And accountability is how we make sure the who does the what. So it's not just KPIs, it's also our weekly reporting, our meetings, our training, and our implementation of the structure we have set up. So that was just very quick. Wanted to give you guys some context on where that content is coming from. And we're going to dive right into the revenue system. And remember, if you have questions, jump in at any time in the chat. Excuse me. So let's talk about the R in revenue. The first, this stands for is responsibility. So right now, typically, even if you're an owner who's trying to hire a sales manager or you're trying to build your sales team, you have to remember that owning revenue is a hat. That even if you're an owner who is managing multiple aspects of the company, you still have to think about, I own revenue in this business. And if you're a sales manager and you haven't been told this yet, it's so important for you to understand managing sales isn't just about role playing and doing a training. Managing sales means that you own the revenue production and the company's success. That means that you have to set aside time to be strategic to keep the revenue growing. Otherwise, you're just reacting to what's already happening in the day to day. So there are different responsibilities and roles in sales management. Yes, training and coaching and holding the team accountable are part of that, but also management and strategy and development are also part of that sales management role. So it's understanding all of the key components that keep revenue going. Now, what happens is when we don't own revenue, that's what causes us to be on that roller coaster ride because we don't have a set strategy on how we're monitoring the growth of the revenue of the business and making sure that we're hitting those milestones, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Next is execution, and it's important to give your team a foundation for them to execute from. It's fine if they have their little twist and they say things a little bit differently, but having a framework on how we conduct sales as an organization is important because not only does it allow us to ramp up new sales reps faster, but it also allows us to collectively improve our process, improve our chances of hitting that of actually closing that deal and increasing our metrics, right? So when we have a lot of steps that are being skipped, some of our closers rely on their personality, so they're not following that process. They're skipping things. Some of that information that's valuable to the success of the company and the brand's growth isn't being communicated ultimately to the homeowner. So we're losing that opportunity and that impact to not just close the deal, but also to grow the brand, the reputation, and building trust with our customers. So when we have that standard, When we don't have that standard, it's unpredictable. We don't know how to correct. We don't know if the issue is the pitch. We don't know how to measure, what to change, what knobs to turn in the business to improve the results. Everything is just random. So the V in revenue is visibility. Now, you don't need a million KPIs if you don't have any right now. There's just a couple that are important to your business and to sales success in general. But if you're flying blind and you don't know what's not working, it's really hard to course correct and set up that strategy. So if right now you're trying to look at, hey, revenue was down in quarter one, or we just had it was lower than the previous year, or we're having a bad start, there's no way we're going to hit our goals. If you don't have visibility into the business's numbers, then it's really hard to say, what do we need to fix? Was it we had a lot of leads, but our conversion rate wasn't good? Was it that we did a lot of pitches, but we had a lot of objections based around financing? So, visibility allows us to make changes and pivots where we can do our 90-day sprints and really focus on solving a major constraint in the business that could be stopping you from reaching that revenue goal. And then we have enforcement, another great word for accountability. I like the word accountability and I love the word enforcement because it shows that it's an action. So, enforcement, when we don't have our expectations defined clearly, everyone just assumes and does things their own ways. If we have standards that we set on onboarding, but they're not being enforced, I think we all know what happens, right? That's like the SOP that you wrote one day, or maybe you even bought some training from us and no one ever enforced it, so it just sat there collecting dust. And that's the worst thing as an owner, as a manager, as a leader, is to feel like you're investing and it sometimes stops us from even taking more moves because you're like, oh, no one's going to actually implement this. I don't have time to implement. It's so important to implement, and that's why enforcement is an action. We have to actively enforce accountability. We have to enforce the structure that we're designing. We have to enforce the process. And that's just another word for implement. So when we're not enforcing things by default, it's optional, right? If we don't enforce someone to fill out their stoplight reports, to fill out their numbers, to attend the sales training, then what's going to happen? They're not going to do so. The next one is numbers. And again, I said you don't need 1,000 different numbers if you have zero KPIs or no tracking or visibility in your business right now. Or maybe you are tracking some numbers, but maybe they're just not the right ones. So, understanding not just what numbers to track, the right ones to track based off of where you're at in your revenue is so important. And then one of my favorite words is unity. If we have sales, operations, and production working against each other, and they're all operating in silos with completely separate goals, and there's no shared accountability, the problems are just going to get passed, and the customer is the one who ultimately feels it when the sales rep turns in an incomplete file, and then production can't build the job in a timely manner, and then operations is dealing with a customer who's pissed off on why they're not getting answers quickly enough. So a lot of times when you're at that $1 to $3 million mark, you think everything's going to be solved by more revenue, but then you get to 3 to 5 and that it's completely different. And then when you get from 5 to 10, the problems that used to cost dollars to fix are now thousands of dollars. And then once you pass that 20, you are now dealing with $1 million opportunities that you're probably leaving on the table. So the word revenue, all of the acronyms that we're coming up with it and sharing with you guys, it looks different at every revenue level. And that's why it's so important, the E in revenue expansion. If you want to grow, you have to make sure you have the right structure to support it, because the foundation that you're building today, it doesn't matter if you end up having a great year next year and maybe let's say you even double revenue, right? If you don't build the structure to support that level of revenue, what's going to happen is your revenue is just going to dip again. And I've seen it happen time and time again where you have a great year, things are going well, but you fall right back to the level of revenue. That's the structure that you actually build. And one of the pressure points that we see it the most in is anywhere between that 3 to 7 million mark. And sometimes it can even go up to 10, where companies are just going up and down and up and down. And obviously, there's a lot of different factors that can cause those changes, but ultimately, having the correct structure to support the revenue level you want to grow to and the revenue level that you're achieving today is extremely important so we can make sure to grow something sustainably. What does this mean? The N stands for numbers. Awesome. Oh, wow. Look at you guys. Everyone's in the comments. Shout out to you guys. So, what this means is I can't sell you a band-aid solution. I can't say, hey, here, do this one thing and it's going to solve everything. What I'm going to show you guys today is the key pieces that are part of the system for your revenue system. So, this is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is the sales manager is the actual revenue leader. And if you're an owner who's a sales manager, you have to remember that those are two different hats that you're choosing to wear, right? Because you have to wear your owner's hat and take care of some stuff, but you also have to wear that sales manager hat and understand that you're leading the revenue. And if you're a sales manager who's newer to this role, or you feel like you're not doing it to the best of your abilities due to not really understanding what to do next, pay attention because this is the most valuable content for you because you're in the correct seat to actually make a change in the company forever. You're the person who can really change the direction because you can 100 focus on being that revenue leader. So sales managers, this content is gold for you. All right, so most sales managers, I'm gonna remember I told you guys I was gonna give you some reality checks, but I say it from a place of love. I'm a sales rep turned manager, turned owner, manager, all in one. So I've dealt with a lot of these things myself and had to grow past them as well. But a lot of times, as the sales manager, if you haven't been trained properly, you don't really understand how to get a team to truly build and to how to build the team and really produce. So you're trying different things and testing them out based off of maybe what you saw work for someone else, what you had experience in the past, but you don't have a correct full structure to say, hey, this is how I can grow the sales team. This is exactly what the roles look like, and this is I truly understand how to master my role. And that's because it's not just one roofing company that doesn't have a good sales management structure or the proper training for sales managers. As an industry, the way that the industry has grown has been that top sales rep who worked really hard, started their own company, or maybe even hired their top sales rep as the sales manager. And people haven't really been set up to succeed in the sales management role in our industry specifically because there's so much involved, right? You still have to have that blue collar knowledge in sales management, but you also need some of that white collar structure systems. So that's really what my passion is about, is bringing those together to build the sales management structure for roofing. So, what typically is happening right now is you guys might be a great sales manager, but typically you're just a leader that's pushing people every single day to get the results. You might still be doing some training, running meetings, but accountability isn't fully developed to the level that you want. So, what we really have right now, if you're operating this way, is a top rep with a new title. And yes, you might be doing some training associated with that, but it's really hard to build a team this way because you're still carrying two responsibilities. One is to sell, and one is also to manage, on top of everything else that it takes to truly be a good manager and to truly be good at sales. So, when the sales system isn't something that we're truly owning, that means we just don't have it, right? If you can't fully describe what is your sales system, structure, hiring, training, ongoing career development, business development, that's all part of our revenue system. Sales management isn't just looking at a spreadsheet and saying red, yellow, green, over, under, let's put Tommy on a performance improvement plans. Sales management is structured leadership, it's scalable impact. And so, really, that's what we want to create. So when revenue has no direction, all of our results are going to vary from one rep to the next, from one week to the next. And so I know what it's like to be on that revenue roller coaster and just wanting to get your feet under your ground and have a system to build things and have more control. So big picture, this is the revenue system. It's the flow from the moment we get a new lead, whether that's through door to door, a digital marketing, networking, referrals, all the way to we're closing out that job and collecting the last check. So there is throughout this process many KPIs that will let us know what's going on in that revenue system and where we might have to make some tweaks, but most times we are not tracking them. What happens in this process, right? So these are two words that everyone likes to say: process and KPI. And now, boom, everything is fixed. What happens is that every single process that we have in place, there can be potential breakdowns, and every breakdown has a price tag. Whether this is not even part of actually closing the deal, but if we had a slow response time on an inbound lead, that could actually decrease our chances of converting that lead. Not having a good inspections strategy and truly having proper documentation can help hold us back down the line on the production side. And not happening having proper follow-up processes. Our sales reps call once, twice, but again, every sales rep follows up differently. We don't understand what exactly it was that we needed to fix in the follow-up process because it's pretty much just non-existent. So here's a couple of key areas where revenue breaks. First is what I was mentioning, that lead contact time. The second is inspections. And this is the one that for some reason sales reps struggle with the most because they're turning in incomplete job files. And just a little bit off topic from the presentation, but I believe it's worth mentioning. Yesterday, I was on the phone with one of my consulting clients, and they were talking about how they had just hired 12 new sales reps. We're in the process of building out some key parts of their pre-production process, so their pre-build. And what kept happening is the sales reps were turning in job files. They wanted it built right away. Files were incomplete. And so production was really getting burnt out, and they're thinking about hiring more people when in reality, there wasn't enough consistency of jobs coming in to add more overhead. It's just the sales reps are putting in pressure. Long story short, we ended up creating a different production calendar, having a 7-day rolling calendar for production. But the bigger thing was that one of the ways that we enforce accountability, and this is not even a KPI, is if the sales rep is turning in a job that's not properly complete, charging them an admin fee to send someone else out to get the proper photos and documentation and making sure we're taking care of the customer. So that's just a very brief example of how accountability is more than just a KPI. It's the enforcement of the standards, the processes, the accountability, and the structure. That's what we're really missing right now, is enforcing the things that we want, the behaviors that we want our reps to do more of. So, as we continue to go through this, let's talk about really what could happen this week. If your reps are not following up, just not following up with 10 people, and again, I'm not going to throw crazy numbers, just average week. 10 people not being followed up with, that's a potential deal left on the table. Each job at 20K average job value. Some of you might have 15K, some of you might have 12K, some of you guys might have 30, 40, right? Just 20 for easy math. 3 to 4 deals that we're not closing each week. That's 80K gone in potential revenue just on the existing leads that we might have not being properly followed up and not having a good strategy to hold our team accountable to follow up, right? So remember, that's how we drive enforcement, not just accountability. So if your revenue is off, you don't know where exactly the breakdown is because you don't have visibility. You really can't identify which step in the revenue system is off for you right now, and you're stuck just making assumptions and going with your gut feeling and pivoting things randomly to see if this next step could actually fix things for you long term. I really want to make sure that you guys stay through to the end of this because this is what the formula that I've created after the last 10 years of seeing these same issues for roofing companies over and over again. So, SPA is the acronym that I created for it, but there's three pillars. The first is structure. This is defines ownership, roles and responsibility, who's responsible for what. Process defines how we execute, how things are done consistently every time. And then accountability is what's going to ensure the consistency, making sure that the structure and the process that we've created are actually being followed. And I'll give you a little bit of context on how I created this formula. When I first started off in doing consulting for roofers, I did more of the structure side, setting up the business plans, writing out roles and responsibilities. And then SOPs became a big thing. And this is before ChatGPT. So I used to have to write SOPs myself. I was before ChatGPT, there was GPT. I was writing processes every single week for a new roofing company, working with the owners, the management team. And what I started to see is we would create all this structure, we would design all of these processes, but then I talked to the company the next month and I'm like, okay, so how's it going? Are you guys getting these things implemented? They're like, no, we're not implementing. And that's where accountability truly comes in. And so through hundreds of time of trying to implement processes, this is what allowed me to really align all three pieces: structure, process, accountability. This is now what we call the SPA framework at Business 411. And now we build the SPA framework for sales, for production, for operations, for branch management, if you want to go open a new location, etc. But I want to explain to you how they fit in this flywheel together. When you don't have structure, people don't know who owns what hat, right? In sales management, it's not understanding who truly owns revenue. Is it the CEO or is it the sales manager, right? Maybe the CEO owns the vision, but the sales manager owns the execution. So it's understanding what does the owner own, what does the manager own. And if you're an owner wearing both hats, understanding when to wear each one. But without having a process, we really can't measure and strategize on what to improve on next because everything is being done differently. But if you don't have accountability, then there's no enforcement, whether that is KPIs, whether that's consequences, whether that is bonuses that we're positively incentivizing great behavior. All three of these have to work together. And so I just want you guys to understand the difference between where you are right now and where you need to be without having a system, without having structures, process, and accountability set up. It's just so much more work, so much more hustle, and all about your personal motivation, willpower, and drive. And so that's what's allowing you to create results. But the bad part is that's exhausting, it's unsustainable, and it's really hard to scale. A lot of times you can get lucky and find other people who are just willing to push with all they have until you guys make it. But the real reality for most of us is if we don't really have that, all of these people super invested into pushing with us, it's going to be a lot harder than it should be to reach our goals. The same amount of effort that you're putting in right now with more structure, more organization, more processes in place, and better accountability can maximize your results from where you are and help you achieve your goals a lot quicker without having to have everyone have that same amount of push as you, having the right people in place. So it's just understanding this effort that you're putting in. If you put even 80% of the effort that you're doing right now with a little bit more structure, would double your results. And truly understanding that as an owner, as a salesperson, a sales manager can really just change your life. So As owners, if you're an owner who's still jumping into sales and trying to save everything, the weight that you're carrying is a lot heavier because you're trying to maintain and grow revenue and build a team and pay bills and handle the overhead. So it's a very stressful seat to be an owner stuck in sales without being able to really experience that freedom of building a team with having the proper manager and structure in place. Now, if everything depends on you, even if you do have a sales manager, that just means that your sales manager maybe wasn't trained properly, and maybe you didn't do it with any wrong intentions. You just didn't know how could you train a sales manager. Maybe you just expected them to figure it out. Now, one thing that I like to tell all of my clients who I do consulting for, just because you're able to learn by figuring it out, when I do teaching, majority of people do not learn like that. Majority of people cannot just watch someone do it and then go and execute on that by themselves. Everyone learns differently, and just because they learn differently doesn't mean that they're a bad employee and they don't want it or they're not ambitious. It just means that each person learns differently, and that's why it's important to have a better training platform for them. So, what a real sales manager has to do consistently is track performance daily to truly understand what can I do differently tomorrow to keep us on course with this week's goals. Now, if we're only looking at the performance monthly, there's a lot of gaps in between. I'm not able to review what's stuck in the pipeline. What can I go and help one of my sales reps with following up this week? Where can I step in? Where's there room for negotiation? So just keeping a tighter eye on the numbers and the sales reps' performance allows that daily accountability to be part of the system. Now, a sales manager also has to hold enforcement. And this is so important because enforcement, remember what we said earlier, this is where we enforce the execution of the process, the expectations, the accountability, the KPIs, the CRM hygiene, right? Making sure that all of our systems are being followed. Now, just as important as all of those things, it's important to coach and develop the team and help them grow and sharpen those skills. But most importantly, a real sales manager owns the outcome and the results. This person has to take full accountability for the team's performance, no excuses, not pointing the fingers, just owning. And that's a tough pill to swallow if it's not a position that's structured properly right now, because maybe you want to own the results, but you don't feel like you can control them. And that's probably the worst seat to be in, especially if you're a high performer who's giving it their all. And it's just because you just don't have that structure and that system to help you be more successful with the effort you're already putting in. So, when the sales process is broken, and there's a couple of different ways it could be broken. It could be something you wrote up one time and you're like, "Hey, we have a sales process. This is how we do things," and that was it. And then you did a training one time, and then everybody expected everyone to magically enforce it. And now you're checking back in a month later, and not a single person has done this new sales process or presentation that you designed. So that's an example of a sales process being broken. Having a designed sales process and having a sales process in action are two different things. Okay. So one is theoretical and one is what's actually happening out in the field. So your basic sales flow, and I just want to kind of explain it to you guys. It's very simple. It's that lead, contact, appointment, inspection, and closing, right? This is the sales flow. If you don't have processes tied into this with training, and then what is the most important word? Enforcement, your team is going to do every step of this completely different. And then they're going to get so burnt out of trying to implement this from their own memory and that one training that they had, that they're just going to stop doing it and they're going to go back to what's the easiest for them. So it's doing enough of those reps where implementing that process out in the field and in real time feels natural and second nature to them, and they're confident in the new processes that you're developing. And sometimes new processes aren't needed. Sometimes it's better improving the structure of how you're doing things so there's just a more unified approach. Maybe you have a team of closers who do really well, but if you could duplicate them, you could do way better. So it just varies really on what your situation is. if A, you just need to do a better job of documenting the process you already have and putting the right supporting pieces and roles in place, or B, you need to create some type of process because you have nothing. And then obviously we have C, which is where maybe what's working in your current market, but you want to go ahead and open in another market, and the exact process you're doing here isn't going to work in another place, so you have to make some changes. So when your team is guessing and there's not enforcement of your processes, everything is going to be inconsistent and unpredictable. Let me go into and answer some questions. Great question, Jasmine. She said, what if one of your owners likes to sell and you can't get him in that leadership role? What I would say is it depends on the leadership structure that you guys have. For example, I have a client that we've been working with for about 3 years now, and there's three partners, right? One is the dad, one's his son, and then one's the son's best friend. The dad, he really just does better at selling, and that's it. But he's able to do that because the other two guys are truly leading. One is directly focused on operations and production, and the other one is focused completely on sales. So the dad just wants to roll around and close deals all day. And there's no reason to change that because it's working for them. It's just in their structure, he gets compensated as a partner a little bit differently than the other two guys because they're wearing different hats. And he actually ended up making more money as a sales rep than he did as an owner, and just happy with that kind of structure for them. So that's why each individual structure needs to be based off of the people that you have in place. And that's why, honestly, it's not a one size fits all approach, and why everything that we recommend should really be customized to where your business is at. And that's even why in our classes and our workshops, we're implementing everything based off of revenue and structure of where the business is at today. Okay, jumping into training. If you guys are not training consistently, this is one of the biggest gaps. I'm a big believer in daily training if possible. And now there's so much technology available that training doesn't have to happen where when only all of us can get together in person. We can do it through Zoom. We can make those in-person meetups something that's worth people showing up to. If your sales team doesn't want to show up to your sales meeting, that could be very telling of the culture that you guys have currently in your business. So, what training should look like on an ongoing basis is that daily repetition of our core skills. We want to stay sharp, iron sharpens iron, having that script and process reinforcement. So, not only are we enforcing it once, but we're enforcing it consistently. The scripts, the processes. Hey, by the way, have the next taking turns having the sales reps present financing options, how you file a claim, like having them break down the processes and show us that they really know what is happening and that they're able to not only sit there and pay attention to what's happening in the training, but in real life through role play and real scenario practice, they know how to do their job. And that's why it's so important to have that ongoing coaching and that feedback, whether it's one-to-one with the sales reps, whether it's owner to manager, whether it's manager to sales manager, production ops manager, working together and meeting and making sure that we're protecting the company structure, the integrity, and taking care of our customers. But what happens typically if you do not have clear numbers, if you're not truly understanding the close rate, or even worse, where are you losing the deals, right? Is it that you're losing deals in follow up and now your sales reps are just saying, "Oh, he wanted a cheaper price and that was it," right? Without doing any type of objection handling, without really positioning your value, right? So if you're not understanding where deals are being lost, you don't know how to train and coach your team based off of where they're at. So maybe you're giving them coaching and training on something that isn't what would really impact them. And that's just, again, another version of same amount of effort put into the right place with the correct structure could maximize the results that you're having. This is a big one for me personally. I always want to know what's in the pipeline. Who have you guys pitched in the last 30, 60, 90 days and then year to date that's potentially able to purchase from you now? How many people have you actually pitched before that are not ready to make a decision? Maybe they're going to wait one more year. What's upcoming in that pipeline? So just understanding and having better forecasting. So here are the core KPIs that you should know. Great point, Sarah. She said that With commercial, it is so different. We inspect, create the estimate, and it may be 12 to 15 months before they're ready to move on it. We just signed up for HubSpot thinking it will be a save off for us, but it's just another tool that is up to us to maintain. Absolutely, Sarah. I will tell you with commercial, really what you guys are tracking more consistently is the actions that you guys are doing, like talking to gatekeepers. How many lunch and learns did you host? What business development opportunities did you create? So, commercial, what we're looking at is opportunity creation consistently because the closing of that pipeline is way longer sales cycle. So true. Here are some of the core KPIs that we need to understand, whether it's the leads that are being generated, the close rate, how many appointments are we setting, and what was the revenue that we're actually closing. Another one that we like to differentiate here, and there's a lot of other KPIs, but these are like four must. If you're not doing these four right now, you should start even with the most basic spreadsheet, even a whiteboard at this point, just something, some type of tracking. But when we talk about revenue produced, we also like to track separately cash collected. For example, maybe you close a deal, but they have payment terms where they gave a deposit and then the rest is going to be collected upon completion. So those are two different numbers. One is revenue and then one is cash collected. So really, what happens when we don't have proper tracking? We either say it's the leads, or it's the season, or it's the pricing. But if we really never fix the system, these issues are going to happen again and again. They're just going to be harder and harder to deal with. And what happens is we get burnt out. Another issue that we have within that revenue system, and like I was mentioning with the client that I was working with yesterday on fixing their pre-production system, with marketing, sales, and production fighting each other, what it was causing is they're trying to fix the problem by adding more overhead. When in reality, if we just improve the communication, we didn't have to increase the overhead. We just had to enforce accountability for the sales rep through having at least that admin feel like, hey, you're not going to turn in complete jobs. This is what we're going to do. So this isn't an ideal world, right? How everything should work. Marketing brings in the lead, sales converts, production delivers that experience, and then feedback fuels the improvement of the system. And that's another part that I've really learned these last, I would say, 3 years of mastering. It's not just designing processes, but how to improve them in real time. Where are the feedback loops necessary as part of that process so that we can stay growing, because the industry is changing fast, and if we're not consistently improving with what we're doing, one week to the next things are changing, prices are increasing, we're having labor shortages. So now more than ever, we really have to have a solid structure, we have to have a solid process and accountability in place. The customer feels it, yes, when we have all those issues, but think about where you're competing with, right? Even though they're buying a roof from you, this is a high ticket service. And they can go on Amazon and get a 5-star experience buying a $10 gadget. So when they're buying something that's 12, 20, 30, 40,000 and don't have the best experience, of course, all they're going to reduce you is to the price. So that's really where everything that we're talking about plays out in real time with the customer. Now, guys, if you're in this seat right now, whether you're an owner, whether you're a manager, and you're putting in all of this effort and everything just feels more difficult than it should be, I just want to let you know that you're not alone. I've dealt with so many different contractors, and they pretty much just give me all the same reasons. I don't have time to put structure in place. I don't know what kind of process to do it. I'm not the most organized. I don't know what kind of structure I want to put together. And at the same time, I can't slow down enough to even think about that right now. But one thing that I want to share with you is I totally get it, because if you're trying to fix these issues on your own, it typically takes a couple of years of failing forward to figure this out. It takes making the same mistakes over and over again before that pain of the frustration makes you finally want to make a change. It costs you money, right? When we're paying not just the price of opportunity, but we're paying it out of our profits and the potential that we could achieve. And even as a manager, you could be putting in all of this effort and you're thinking to yourself, I was better off as a sales rep. I was making more money just selling. Now I'm dealing with all this responsibility and I'm making less money. And the true thing is, if you had better structure as a sales manager and as an owner when it comes to sales management, the same exact effort you're putting today would give you more results. So that's why, with just having more motivation, with putting in more work, that doesn't create enough lasting change. We need that structure, we need that process, and we need that accountability. So, whether you choose to stay in the exact same seat right now, what it's going to cost you is more time. What it's going to cost you is more revenue. And for me, the highest price to pay of all is more time, because I can always get more money, but I can't get more time. So you're paying for these issues, whether you decide to fix it or not. The only question that I have for you is either you're going to continue to pay the price of staying stuck, which is a lot higher than the price of getting unstuck. I'm talking about it just takes a little bit of time and dedication each week to get out of where you guys are at right now. So, what it actually requires for you to fix this is just having more clarity across your company structure, having a consistent, and here's the key word, enforced process that we're putting into place, having clear accountability and tracking, not just the KPI that we said, oh, here's a KPI, here's a spreadsheet, red, yellow, green. We're enforcing that accountability through, and looking at the KPIs to guide us on our strategy. And most importantly, having an owner or a sales manager who finally decides, I own revenue, I'm going to take this over and I'm going to get us to the next level and solve this problem from here on out. Now, what do you actually need to do from here? The answer is you don't need more leads. You don't need another script. You don't need another magical thing. You don't need another hire, right? Increase your overhead more. You need to fix the system behind your revenue for once and for all. So I just want to invite you guys, if this information was important to you, if you understand the relevance and you don't want to keep paying the price of staying stuck, May 20th to the 22nd, I'm going to host our 411 roofing systems implementation workshop. I improve this class every time I teach it. And this one is very special to me because I've implemented the SPA framework for each department. And I'm going to talk to you guys, not only if you're a sales manager, not only if you're the owner, operations and production managers can come to this training and get on the same page for once and for all. So in this implementation workshop, day one, we're going to go through structure, not just for sales. We're going to go through each department structure, all of the people, all of the processes that are necessary, what those SOPs need to look like. And if you're a leader within the organization, this training is going to be hyper specific to you on how to lead and build your team within your department. And then day three, we're going to go through accountability. And for me, KPIs is just a small part of accountability. Accountability is so much bigger than that. There you go. Sorry, somebody was unmuted there. Accountability is so much bigger than that. You're going to leave this with all of the content, all of the tools, and all of the resources that you need to implement with the support from myself and from my team to help you guys get to your next level. So, the SPA framework, I touched on it briefly, but I just want to cover it again for you guys. When we talk about structure, it's the who. In this specific class, we talk about sales management, operations management, and production management. But the most important thing is how they all flow together and work as one team. This is extremely important whether you're an owner who's running the company yourself, whether you have business partners, whether you're a manager who wants the structure to be a great leader and reach your own potential. Because if you knew more, if you could do better, you would be doing it now. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be sitting in this training. So, this is just going through giving you guys the implementation content that you need, the proper structure, the processes for making sure the who is doing the what, right? What is it? What workflows do we need them to follow? Protecting that profitability throughout the process. And accountability is how we make sure the who is doing the what. Those KPIs by role, our weekly meeting structures. I'm giving you the agendas for the meetings, how to run those meetings, all of this, everything that would take you years of trial and error in 3 days. And it's the most digestible content that you could ever see. And you don't just have to hear it from me. I'll show you guys some testimonials here shortly. So Day one, we're going to talk about just understanding where you're at based off of revenue. And I break it down all the way from zero to $25 million a year. Obviously, I have clients that are doing more than $25 million a year, but the way I like to explain it, if you're doing more than 25 million a year from multiple branches, what we're going through is each individual branch strategy. And so we're going to go through the bottlenecks that I've seen happen. None of this is theoretical. I've been paid to solve these problems by hundreds of roofing companies over and over again. And I've just given you guys all the patterns that I've seen with the solutions that I've created and trying to give you guys that shortcut of actionable steps, right? A lot of these things, what you're just going to learn either through me, easy way, or through by yourself, the hard way. So, day one's main goal transformation is I'm going to give you the structure and the business model. All you're going to have to do is implement it. Day two, this is where we talk about management and process, building the engine, building the revenue system. This is for sales, production, ops management, truly defining their roles, clarifying what you own as a manager, what do you own as an owner, and then making sure that there's great communication between the leadership team. So if you're on a leadership team, you getting on the same page is one of the most difficult things to do, and sometimes finding the time to get on the same page. So this is intentional time to build your guys' structure, process, and accountability for once and for all. What you have to do on day two, I'm going to give you the management structure and process. All you have to do, implement the content. Now, day three, we're going to go through the different roles, assign them their KPIs, enforce accountability through weekly reporting structure, going through your leadership meeting cadence, implementing performance correction systems, troubleshooting what to do when you guys are off course, how to coach and train your team, get them back on course, and then most importantly, reverse engineer where your revenue is at, where your goals are, and then make sure that you have a hiring plan that fits that. So, day three, I'll take care of all of the accountability and KPIs that you need to design. All you have to do is implement. All right, guys. So we do have a webinar exclusive. Usually this is a higher ticket class that we sell, but right now we're running a promotion for this webinar specifically. It's 2 grand, whether you attend virtually or in person. Excuse me. It's up to you, but you get to get the virtual ticket. If you decide to come in person, it's a maximum of 2 seats. If you have a special case, just let my team know and we'll see what we can do for you. Usually what we do is a happy hour. We have a classroom here in our office so we can host up to 100 people. And we're in sunny South Florida actually. So you can come. Usually the class is Wednesday to Friday. If you're able to stay through the weekend, awesome. You guys can have a little vacation and get away there. So these are the 5 moves that have to happen. Whoops. There it goes. Need to refresh it. These are the 5 things that you have to do, the 5 moves that have to happen. The first is we have to define the real ownership of revenue. Who owns this number? That's what you need to decide on this call. If you're a sales manager, if you're an owner right now, get on the same page. If you are a part of the same company and you don't have that clarity and decisiveness yet, and I just want you guys to understand that you have to get on the same page, right? If no one truly owns this number, it's going to be left up to chance. Step two is mapping out your actual sales process. And here's the most important step, being able to see the visibility into the numbers. Where's our revenue breaking? What do we need to know beyond just total sales? How do we track how we can make improvements? And most importantly, find the missing money. Is it in your follow-up? Is it in your pipeline? Do you guys need to do more lead generation as a team? Is there more business development opportunities? But the reality is that there's any goal that you have in this industry, I've seen people accomplish over and over again. And they didn't do it because they had this magic formula that worked. They did it because they had some type of structure, some type of process, and some level of accountability, even if they themselves didn't know how to explain it at that time. And then step four is enforcement. How do we enforce everything that we're designing? How do we take things to the next level? Whether we're an owner, whether we're a manager, how do we show up for that team? And most importantly, building a real sales manager role. A sales manager isn't just a closer, they're not a problem solver. What a sales manager truly is a leader who owns performance. This is someone who builds the team, enforces the process, tracks the numbers, and drives results every single day. And this is the hardest part to get right, especially like I mentioned, we're in a blue collar industry full of very hardworking people who just don't have that white collar education and background. And just having that information can save you guys from all of the work that you're putting, being able to reach your goals a lot sooner. So here's the reality. Okay, none of this is complicated, but if you wanted to do it by tomorrow, it'd be a lot harder on your own. So if you're just implementing one piece or putting band-aid solutions and then you're not enforcing, what happens? You're just going to go right back to what you were doing yesterday. You're not going to make a lasting change. It has to have the proper structure to support what you're trying to create, the accountability to maintain it, and then most importantly, as an owner, if you're watching this, as a manager, if you're watching this, you have to decide that you own this. You're going to enforce it. So this isn't something that we're just watching and fixing. This is something that we're building, and this is a system and it requires implementation. If nothing changes, remember, we have on a low side, we could lose up to 600K this year. And if you're doing higher numbers like 5, 10, even $15 million a year in revenue, you're leaving millions on the table by not having these things. So in reality, you have two options at this point. You can continue to do exactly what you're doing today. You can jump off of this webinar and you can go back and decide, Elizabeth, I'm just going to keep doing my thing. And that's totally fine. But you could decide to make a different choice and use all of the knowledge, all of the tools, and all of the resources that I've been helping actual other roofing contractors solve their specific pain points for 10 years. I didn't just wake up one day and say, these are all the problems that roofers have, right? I was hired to go all over the country and work with different roofers on these issues. And I'm still actively doing that today and still actively solving people's problems. So if you decide to go with option one, nothing's going to change and you're still going to have the same problems next quarter and you're still going to have the same frustrations. What might change is you might have the same problems with a little bit more revenue or you might have the same problems with a little bit less revenue, but either way, you're going to have the same problem. And the reason why you know that this is true is because you've already gone through hiring people, not having that right structure, and trying to fix it without having structure, process, and accountability in place, right? It hasn't worked because you doing small tweaks to the puzzle versus developing that revenue engine and system. It doesn't mean that you guys don't know enough, right? That's not what's holding you back. You're putting in the work, you know how to do roofing. It's implementing the structure that you know you need. You know you need this. It's just how are you going to actually implement it? So this is what the gap that most companies have is implementation. You're too busy to build it. You don't have the structure to support it, and you don't have the accountability to maintain it. What we're going to do for you, and just to put into perspective for you guys, you already know where your revenue is potentially leaking. I already gave you guys pointed out some very basic points. There's so much more to go through, and that's why this implementation workshop is 3 days. You already know where deals are being missed. You already might have some ideas. The question is not if this is costing you, it's already costing you and you're already paying this every single deal. The average deal that you have just with what you're missing a month, this is what it's costing you every single month. And most companies are losing 5 to 10 deals a month without even realizing it. So, just so you guys can understand, the real cost that you're paying is not $2,000 and 3 days of your time. The real cost is 600K a year, 1.8 million a year, 2 million a year, right? Times that by whatever level you're currently at. It's just maximizing and multiplying the revenue that you're currently leaving on the table. So you're already paying for this in missed deals and wasted leads and in time and stress. The only difference is that now we can actually help you fix it. You jumped on this webinar for a reason. And again, I just want to take that opportunity to make sure that you're part of this workshop, that you're part of this program, because I guarantee you 1,000% that you're going to come to this workshop and completely solve these problems and come ready to come to our next workshop and continue to grow your business. It's a relationship. We've grown with our clients from 0 all the way to 20 million plus. We continue to do that. So just don't just hear it from me. I'm just going to put a testimonial for you guys.
Hey, I'm Christine Scott with Scott Exteriors. We're at the Business 401 class for roofing, and it has been amazing. We've been in the business 26 years, and this is the first time that we've had an SOP down in writing, had books that we can take to our training, to our salespeople. The experience has been incredible because we've actually been able to build our process as well with this.
Yeah, I'm Curtis Scott Exteriors, Dallas, Texas. I have to agree with her. This has been one of our best experiences, a great learning experience, an opportunity for us to get so much documentation down and in writing, as I have some programs in place to work with our production team, our sales team, just everybody in our office.
Amazing. What's one key takeaway you guys have from this event that you're going to be implementing when you get back?
Standard operating procedures. That I'm going to say that's the biggest.
Yeah, and especially for sales. Our sales team is probably a little loosey-goosey, and we probably need to rein that in a little bit. And what's in the book is amazing as far as just setting guidelines and kind of bumpers out there for our sales team.
One of the things in the training books that I noticed where the hierarchy of your company says you, and that's very much been, everything's been in my head for so many years and all of our training and everything else. And so now to be able to get it standardized is going to be incredible.
My name is Heather Hitchcock. I own Royal Roofing in Houston, Texas. This right here, your dream company, is on the other side of being busy. I'm going to tell you what, Liz is very overlooked. What her and her team are doing, this is groundbreaking stuff that is completely lacking from the roofing industry. For someone like me as a company owner to come in and see what they have that is literally plug and play for systems and processes, I'm blown away. We are super excited for everything we learned, but I'm telling you, people don't realize what they're offering. You guys need to check this out.
All right, if you guys are interested in checking us out, we have a couple more bonuses for you. If you want to hear from more testimonials, I have those as well. But just so you understand, usually we have speakers come in and speak. Last time we had one of our clients that does over $100 million a year come in and share information about how they grew their company. What I've really done over the last 2 years is really personalize all of my content specific to where your business is at. I can really identify the breakpoints just off of patterns that I've continued to see over and over again. You do get lifetime access to the course now. So if you've ever taken one of our courses before, now you're actually able to have that recording forever and access that content and everything that we went through. For this specific class, we have 60 seats capacity. Right now we're at 60%, so we have a couple more seats. We want to make sure that you guys are able to attend, whether you do want to come virtual or in person. It's May 20th through the 22nd. Just remember, it's structure, process, and accountability. Day 1, we're focusing on the who. Day 2, we're focusing on the what. And day 3, how the who does the what, making sure we're driving that accountability. All you have to do on day 1 is show up, and we'll provide you with the structure and the business model based off of where you're at. All you have to do is implement. Day 2, we're going to focus on management and process. We're going to give you all of the content that you need and help you with implementation. All you have to do when you go back is work on everything we've implemented with you. And same thing for day 3, KPIs, accountability, and growth. All you have to do is implement. I've done all the heavy lifting for you. So make sure, if you want to go ahead and join us, our virtual ticket is $2K. The live ticket is $2K, and either one of those options. If you choose to join virtual, you can have as many people as you want join. If you choose to do a combination of both, that's not an issue. You can come live and then have maybe some of your managers watching virtually as well. If you are going to come in person, just make sure to coordinate with us if you guys do need more seats. And most importantly, here's our bonuses for signing up during this webinar. First of all, you have lifetime access to this content. It's on a recording. You can access this content at any time. And we have another bonus. If you are interested in one of our manuals or guides, when you sign up, we're going to give you one complimentary included in your seat to the class. So you can choose whether that's the 10-step sales rep onboarding manual if you're just hiring, or if you want to tighten up something in your sales process, whether that's for commercial roofing, residential, insurance, gutter, siding, you name it, we have it all set up for you, whether it's training for your team or sales content for the homeowner. And we have one more bonus. If you sign up during this webinar next week, we're doing a kickoff call where I'm going to be doing a private mastermind with everyone who's attending this workshop in person to go through the details and answer any preliminary questions and make sure that you have the right people attending. So May 7th, we're going to meet privately, do a workshop for everyone who's coming to the class and going through and making sure that we give you all the content that you need. So if you're ready and you want to go ahead and sign up, I'm going to have the QR code here for you as well. But I just want to go through a couple of frequently asked questions. Who's the right person to attend this class? For this one specifically, it would be owners, sales managers, ops managers, and production managers, because this is a management structure, process, and accountability class. So it's specifically speaking across the different departments. Then usually after that, we have different courses for management, continued education and implementation for the different departments. But this one is a starting point for you to come get all of the basic information across all departments, and then you can continue mastery of the different departments. And the best part is, if you're an owner, you can just keep sending me your managers and I'll continue to train them and help you develop them, which is very rare to even have as a solution in this industry. And I just focus on doing that for roofing, restoration, and construction companies. What is going to be included? You get the course with lifetime video access. It does come with a manual as well, and all of that information is available lifetime access. Who do I bring? Your managers and owners. And if you want to hang out for the weekend in South Florida, your family. How do you prepare? May 7th, we're going to have that onboarding call where we can go through any specifics about your situation, your scenario, and I'll answer questions for you specifically. And our happiest hours, one of our clients says, are the happiest happy hours they've ever been, just because we're having a great time, we're learning and we're growing together, and I get to spend more time with you guys. And here's a question that I have for you. Why haven't you signed up already? I'm happy to take some questions for those of you who are still on. Congratulations to quite a few of you who have signed up so far. Shout out to my team for monitoring the chat. And I just want to go through and answer any questions that you guys might have as well and see what else you need. Remember, if you want to meet with one of my team members, we also have a link for that. If we can go ahead and share as well, Kelly, make sure that they have access to book with one of our team members. Alrighty, so let's go through any questions you guys have. Jaslyn, in this specific one, we talk about different options for compensation. We could do more of this is more question that I would answer to the side for you, because I wouldn't want to answer that directly in front of your sales manager, but we do have options for that. And there is specific content that we do that's for owners only, and I could definitely share with you. I have about 4 or 5 different breakdowns on compensation for sales management as well as incentives. Yeah, for sure. Definitely at the class, anybody who has questions on sales management, on production management, operations management, I have breakdowns on compensation pretty much across the board. I go through those, whether you're hiring in-house or hiring VAs. We're going to go through compensation, incentive programs, all of that. If you've ever taken one of my classes in the past, this is absolutely nothing like it. The content is formatted really in the same way that I went through with you guys today. But what's the biggest difference is, before, maybe 4 years ago, this used to be just an SOP class. Now it's structure, process, accountability. And this one specifically is for managers and owners only. Glenn. Thanks, Glenn. I'll see you here. I hope you're having a good time. Colby Smith, I know not every webinar is sent out after completion, but just wanted to see if this one be. I believe we're going to put this one on YouTube, but we'll overall see. James says, will you have this course or other courses throughout the year? This one I'm not doing again until October. But yeah, this one specifically I recommend doing before you do. I have a longer one for sales management only. It's just harder to get the concepts that I'm teaching and just without getting the full picture. So this is the starting point of all of my courses because I have sales management mastery workshop, the same thing for production and the same thing for operations. Scott, we have a link here for booking. I don't know if you can send it to Scott, please, Kelly. But yeah. Yeah, sure. Awesome. While my team answers additional chats for you all, just want to go through and make sure that I'm answering any additional questions. I know that we went through a lot today, but I just want to share something with you guys. I've been doing this for 10 years, working in the roofing industry. At first, I was working on the technology side, measurements, estimating, material ordering, and helping train contractors on that. And then when I started Business 411, I went from being owner operator to growing my own team to over 35 people and working with clients that were just starting up all the way to now. I usually specialize with clients doing 25 to 50 million a year, working with them more one-on-one. And then I have these solutions, these classes, the university, and different manuals for those clients that are not there yet, but still need structure, process, and accountability and just want to grow their business. So my biggest goal with everything that we're doing is I want to make it easier at the end of the day for newer people that are getting into the industry that are going to be joining your team to be successful. And the way that I help people that are getting into this industry is by helping companies have a better system to help newcomers into the industry. So that's my mission is I want people that are joining the industry to have a better experience, and the biggest way that I can contribute and help them be more successful is by helping companies just like yours have a better system to bring them on, have a better system to make them be more successful, and more than anything, helping you guys reach your goals, which is going to help them reach their goals. And more importantly, the biggest cause of all is making sure that more homeowners are taken care of properly and not taken advantage of. So I'm very thankful and I'm grateful for your time today. As many of you guys know that know me already, this is my passion. I love what I do. And so to me, this isn't work. I love helping roofing companies grow. I could have changed industries at any point, but I just really enjoy the roofing industry specifically. I've met so many great business owners who have put in so much hard work to grow their businesses, and I've been able to work alongside them and help solve some problems for them. And so I'm excited to work with you all, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, or soon to come. Being able to work with you guys is really just me living out my purpose and my mission. I just want to say thank you, whether it's watching a free webinar or being part of the Business 411 community. You guys are helping us accomplish our vision, which is just by attending this webinar, helping you guys be a little bit more successful today and get one step closer to building your dream company. So I just want to say thank you. And then I'm going to stay on for a couple of more minutes. I'm going to drink some water really quick because I talked a lot and super fast. And then I'm going to answer a couple more questions for you guys. And if you guys don't have any more questions, give me some thumbs up. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. You guys are great. I really appreciate you. Just remember, if you see our ads online, comment on them, send us some positive vibes. right? Sometimes people still comment on my ads. They're like, "Are you a real person?" Anything like that. But yes, please, guys, go ahead whenever you see our ads, whenever you see us online, show us some love. Just something as simple as putting a positive comment, giving us a thumbs up, and it helps us and people to see that we're what we're really all about. And so I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks, guys. Bye.